in the kitchen with Carrie, the creator of Wheat Free Mom, gluten-free food blogger extraordinaire.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me in your kitchen today.
Thanks for coming.
Well, I'm very excited because we're actually going to be making one of my favorite desserts or sweets, cinnamon buns.
Yes.
So what inspired you to pick this for the show today?
Mainly because it's usually the first thing people really miss when they get a gluten-free diagnosis. They'll be at the mall and they pass by Cinnabon and go, oh, I can't have that.
Yeah.
And it's really quite an easy thing to make, and for most people it reminds us of our grandma.
Yes, it does, and it totally reminds me of that too. So before we dive into mixing, I just want to get a little background from you. So where did your gluten-free journey start?
About 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with celiac disease, and as an avid baker for my family, it was quite a shock. And I thought, well, no problem, I'll dive into this, and I picked up a whole bunch of cookbooks, and none of the recipes were working.
Okay.
And I thought, I know how to bake, I don't understand. And what I realized is I live in Calgary.
Okay.
And we have some unique unbaking properties in Calgary. We're at high altitude and we're dry.
Okay.
And most of the recipes I were following were people that live in humid environments and at sea level. And I had to switch things up and kind of relearn what would work in Calgary.
So this is a great tip because a lot of people that are going into gluten-free probably don't know that the altitude in the air makes a big difference.
It's really a moisture content.
Right.
Gluten-free, the easiest way to explain is you take out the air. Gluten-free means no air. So then you live in a place like Calgary and you've got high altitude and you've got dry. You've now reduced the air 3 times. So it's adding more moisture, and creating the air. So I've learned a few techniques on how to get the air back in your baking.
Great, well that's fantastic. Let's dive in to get making this. So what's the first steps?
So we're gonna add gluten-free flour. The one I'm using today is Compliments. It's a great mix that I quite like.
And how much are we adding in there?
I've got the recipe actually on my site, but it's about 2 cups of flour.
Perfect.
And then it's 3 tablespoons of sugar.
And for people per se maybe that wanted to use an alternative sweetener like coconut sugar, is that something that you could do?
You could do coconut sugar. It does change the color of the buns because they're normally white. I would say maybe go honey.
Okay.
If you want to.
Great.
And then baking powder and salt. And then you want to add some spices. It's one thing I learned with going gluten-free is
Spices
buy
are your
good quality
friend.
spices.
Yes, for sure. And how can you tell the difference when you're looking for good spices?
You know, do some research. We have a great market in Calgary, the Silk Road merchant that has great spices, or just do a test. The first time, if you've got basil from a typical grocery store and you try your dried basil, then try some good stuff and you won't believe the difference.
Fantastic. So you're using Silk Road today?
Yeah, so I've got some cardamom. Cardamom is a favorite of mine for baking.
I love it too.
Just adds a little bit of warmness and a little bit of nutmeg. Whoops. We're going to be adding lots of cinnamon, but not in the dough.
Okay.
It's more in the filling.
Okay.
And then I like to use dried vanilla.
I love that too.
It just adds a nice taste.
And then we're mixing.
And then you could do this in a bowl and just whisk it, but I think it's a one-pan kind of dough, so that's it. So you just want to give it a bit of a mix.
Great.
And then this dough is more like a biscuit. Most cinnamon bun recipes are used with yeast.
Right,
and that is make your dough, let it rise for an hour, and do it that way. Not everybody has time.
Right.
This is kind of a quick, you got time on a Sunday in an hour, or in an hour you can have cinnamon buns for your family.
Yes.
So because it's biscuits, you want to use ice cold butter.
Okay.
So you're going to add the butter. I'll use my fingers and get that in.
And then for somebody, say, who is dairy free, is there an alternative that you'd be able to use?
Yes, you could use Earth Balance has a vegan butter.
Right.
And they have 2 options. They have one that's got soy, and then they have one that's without soy. So it really depends
there are
on
options.
If you can't have soy, you've got an option.
Fantastic.
So then you're just going to turn this on. And what you're looking for is you want to be able to see little pieces of butter.
Okay, so it should all be mixed, the flour into the butter, and just little small bits.
Yeah, you're not looking to do a batter.
Okay.
It's just a bit crumbly, like you're doing a pie crust or something like that.
That's good for us to know.
My butter's sticking, so we're just going to turn that back on. So
Just let it mix.
I have a stand mixer, so it's really easy.
And if you didn't have one of these, what would you use to mix it with? Beaters?
I wouldn't actually use a beater. I think it's too small and it's a little too fast.
Okay.
You could use a pastry.
Perfect.
Pastry cutter and just do it in a bowl.
Great.
So you're just gonna mix it like this. Normally doesn't take very long. If you can see, Amber, see how it's
getting to be those little chunks of butter.
It's like almost like a thick sand.
Yeah, exactly. So you can mold it into a ball almost. Right.
Yeah. So you stop it because you don't want to over mix.
Right.
You're not looking to make cookies and get a batter. You just want to get the butter a little bit soft. And then the next actually is easy, is we're gonna add buttermilk.
Okay.
The reason I use buttermilk is more of a fermented sour milk.
Yes.
It adds air to gluten-free baking.
Which is what we need in Calgary.
Yeah. If you don't have buttermilk, the easy switch is regular milk with a little bit of vinegar.
Okay.
If you can't tolerate dairy, my friend that I like to use as an alternative is goat milk.
Okay.
Goat milk very much resembles buttermilk.
Yes, very thick.
And it adds that air that we need. And for most people that have a dairy sensitivity, once goat milk is baked, it changes the protein of it, and people can digest it.
Yes.
I wouldn't do an almond or a rice milk or anything like that.
Right.
Not for this type of recipe.
Great. These are great tips.
Thanks.
Learning a lot.
So you add in the buttermilk.
Okay.
And again, you do not want to overmix this.
Okay.
Once it basically
kind of all
forming, as you can see, it's coming together.
Yep. Oh yeah, it doesn't take much at all.
That's it. And you can still see the butter in there.
Great. Can we take that out?
We will take it out and we'll start rolling in a second.
It's exciting. I'm excited. So we've mixed the batter. Let's get a show of this beautiful batter. Very basic, easy, simple to make.
Yeah, it's a biscuit batter, and at the heart of it is be gentle with it.
Yes.
You don't really want to overwork it.
Okay, that's good. A good tip, because a lot of people will probably want to mix it a lot.
Yeah, you have to kind of switch things up with gluten-free, and this is one of those cases, especially for this. So take your spoon, just give it a little bit of a form. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take some more of your gluten-free flour. You're going to spread it on your counter. You're going to add that. And then you just want to play with this a tiny bit.
Okay, so get a little bit.
A little bit of flour, because it's quite sticky.
Yes.
But you don't want to overdo it.
Right. Don't end up with dry cinnamon
buns. This is fun for me. There's nothing better than playing with dough.
It is fun. I love it.
So then you're going to hold it for a sec, and when you go to roll it, you want a lot more because it's quite sticky on the inside.
Right.
So don't be afraid of the flour. And I always put a little bit on the side of my counter. It's for my rolling pin. And you'll see that you need that after.
Right, because the dough's sticky.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't want it. And so don't press really hard. Again, be gentle. And what you're looking for is a bit of a rectangle. And you're rolling, and this dough is pretty good. It's not sticking. So I don't really need to add any extra flour right now. And you're not looking to go too thin, but you're also not looking for perfection. Yeah. Don't worry about the shape, that it has to be a perfect rectangle, anything like that. You're just gonna roll. And that's basically it.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah,
that
can't go wrong. It's a little bit messy,
but part of being in the kitchen and having fun is getting a little bit messy.
Yeah, and this is something you definitely could do with the kids.
Yes, for sure.
I would think I would divide it up into 4 and let them just play and do little individual cinnamon buns. You could do them in a muffin tin.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So they don't have to worry about that. So you've got this spread.
Okay, now we're gonna put the filling in.
Is we're going to fill it with more caramel.
Okay.
So you take some butter. So I have the recipe for these cinnamon buns on my site, and the recipe I have is actually dairy-free.
Great.
I just did it with butter today.
Fair enough.
But vegan butter works really well in
Okay.
this. So you could definitely switch to vegan. You're just gonna melt it. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take brown sugar. Again, you could use coconut sugar for this part.
Great.
And what you're doing is you're just getting a little messy. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is all about having fun in the kitchen.
Smells really good.
And then for me, the next part is the most important. Use a really good quality cinnamon.
Great. So you've got some Silk Road cinnamon
This is
here.
Sri Lanka. If you ever get a chance, go to Silk Road, and they have about 6 different cinnamons. Take a smell.
Oh, okay.
You won't believe the difference. Vietnamese will have a heat to it, but doesn't taste spicy.
Okay.
So, I don't know. There's nothing like really good
It
cinnamon.
smells fantastic.
Yeah. And as my grandma would say, don't be chinsy with the cinnamon.
I agree. Cinnamon is amazing on everything.
And it's actually really healthy for
oh
you
yeah,
too.
it's great for your blood sugar, especially cravings.
Yeah.
Tastes good in everything.
So now you're gonna roll.
'Kay.
And again, relax. If it doesn't roll perfectly well, you're not gonna stress about it. And you're just gonna start from one end, and you're just going to, hopefully you've put enough flour down, and you're just gonna start tucking
Okay.
and rolling.
Just like that.
Just like a jelly roll,
Yeah.
but it's with a biscuit.
Easy. Beautiful.
And that's it.
We have this rolled. Now what do we do with the ends?
Well, what you're going to do is you're going to get your pan ready that you're going to use to put in the oven.
'Kay.
And again, a little bit more caramel.
Okay.
So you're going to put a little bit of butter on the bottom.
Yep.
Again, you could use vegan butter.
Yep.
And a little bit of brown sugar.
Okay.
You'll see after we're going to pour some milk over it at the end, and that makes it a nice caramel sauce. So you've got your pan ready. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start cutting. And again, it doesn't have to be exact.
Do you always start cutting in the middle?
I do, just so mentally I can sort of keep them a bit even.
Okay.
But you don't have
Fair
to.
enough.
And then you have
Beautiful.
these beautiful little rolls.
Smells amazing.
And then all you're going to do is you're going to start placing in. But I'm going to show you. So you get these ends and you're like,
Yes.
oh, what should I do? Put your nicest on this side and then just gently make a little rosette.
Okay.
Because when you flip it after, which you'll see what we do after, it's the side that shows with the caramel.
Right.
And again, we're not worried about making it perfect. Tuck that in a little bit.
What truly matters is the flavor.
It really is, and in the end, no one's looking and measuring the size
exactly.
of your cinnamon bun. I'm sorry. And that's basically it.
Voila. Cinnamon buns.
Yes. And then this is the last thing. You're going to pour a little bit of milk in between. What happens is
Great.
the butter, the brown sugar, and the milk cook and become caramel.
Right.
So when you flip them over, you have a little bit of a sauce. Now, I'm using cow's milk here. Again, on the recipe what I showed, you could use goat milk.
Great.
But you could also do coconut milk.
Oh, fantastic. So lots of
Yeah.
different options.
Yeah. Again, you know, they're nice and creamy. So feel free to do that. And then all you have to do is pop it in a 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes and you're going to have cinnamon
And
buns.
then you have amazing cinnamon buns.
Great brunch for
Okay.
your family on a Sunday.
Well, let's get these in the oven
All
so we
right,
can give
sounds
them a
good.
try. So we've just pulled cinnamon buns out of the oven. They smell amazing.
Thanks.
And now there's a next step. What is that?
Well, you want to let the cinnamon buns cool for about 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
And the reason is that the butter and the brown sugar separate a tiny bit. So if you let them cool, they caramelize.
Okay.
So then you can literally take your pan and carefully,
Oh, very
and when
nice.
you pop them out,
This
you
caramel
have
sticky.
warm, gooey, caramel gluten-free cinnamon buns that are ready
Comfort.
to serve.
Comfort at its best.
Reminds me of grandma.
Yeah, right? And what is your favorite thing to serve these cinnamon buns with?
I think you should do this on a Sunday morning when
Yeah.
you've got a little bit extra time with your kids. There are no yeast recipe. You can have these in 40 minutes. Your family can enjoy some warm cinnamon buns.
Awesome. Well, they smell amazing. Can't wait to dig in. Thank you again for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Amber.
You're welcome. You can check out Wheat Free Mom at wheatfreemom.com and online on social media at Wheat Free Mom. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching.